starts with breaking news.
Breaking news we are following closely. A family is now displaced after a house fire. This happened in the area of 47th and Martha just after 5 o'clock this morning. According to the fire officials who spoke to our photographer at the scene, the fire was coming from the home's basement, was put out in about 10 minutes. The good news is no injuries to report. We'll make sure to update you as soon as we know more about this. In the meantime, it's good to have you with us on our First Alert 6 streaming on this Friday morning. I'm Erin Hartley, joined by meteorologist Jarrett Lansford and Senior Chief Meteorologist Rusty Lord. After a soggy afternoon forecast for a Thursday, looking a little bit more clear today.
Yeah, a lot to look forward to. We have clear skies right now, sunshine to start off your day, so that's going to give you a better feel. But it has cooled down quite a bit. We're down in the 20s this morning. So we just weren't ever able to turn it over to all snow entirely yesterday. So we were a rain snow mix at times. It all melted. And now the biggest thing is the temperature and maybe watching for a couple of slick spots this morning. 28, a little bit of a northwest wind at 7 miles per hour. Feels like 21 at the moment. So satellite and radar shows that system moving off towards the east, taking the clouds with it. There's the clear sky we have right now. And the next system, which earlier on this week looked like might be the one that could bring us snow, it is going to be pressed down to the south, and I'll show you how that's going to play out. So yesterday's rain totals, ½ inch to an inch, pretty common. A little skeptical in some of these. I think there was more in Plattsmouth. There might be some errors in what are these automated rain gauges that kind of added up and then feed us the information. But a ½ inch to an inch, pretty common if you're along I-80 in south. And you can see a few of those locations in west central Iowa able to top that as well. So first alert forecast for today, we have sunshine around to start, but the clouds gradually fill in. You'll notice by noon, we're up to about 35 degrees, but mostly cloudy skies by 2 o'clock, 37, about 38 by 4, and we're right around 40 degrees in some spots to the west. Now, I mentioned the possibility of a little snow from that system. There you go, right down there, grazing our southern counties. So we're talking Falls City, Maryville, maybe a little bit of snow this evening. Watch for that in our far southern counties, probably south of Beatrice, Nebraska City, Shenandoah, Clarinda. That line right there could get a little bit. It keeps trying to hint at a little snow shower to our northeast as well. We'll see if that can materialize. And then there's the clear sky as we start off the day on Saturday. And we'll eventually see some cloud cover move in. So snowfall potential tonight, notice maybe a ½ inch. That'd be the worst of it, trying to get as far north as the Nebraska City, Shenandoah area. And then there could be a couple more snow showers on Saturday. Those are in the middle of the day. And that's those few extra tenths you just saw tacked on there as I ran the model through. 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts on Saturday as well. So Saturday, not going to be pleasant, but not incredibly cold. 34 degrees, which is about average. There'll be some intermittent snow showers try to move through, and we won't all see those. And then northwest wind gusts up to about 30 miles per hour, putting our wind chills in the 20s all day. Sunday, easily the best day of the weekend with a high of 38 expected.
All right, hard to believe we're already getting to mid-January. Yeah. At this point, are we going to see any major drops in the forecast?
There's one towards the end of next week I'm paying attention to, but I think there's some really good weather before we get there. Let me show you what that entails here. Some bursts of cold air trying to work their way in this weekend. Here's the crux of that one, moving off towards the east pretty quickly, though. Monday and Tuesday look pretty darn mild in our area. And then Wednesday into Thursday bring some reinforcing rounds of cold air and maybe even a little bit colder by next weekend. So we could be talking about some colder blasts that have a little more staying power towards next weekend and beyond. So what does that look like when you put some numbers to it? 51 Monday, 52 on Tuesday. I will say several models do go warmer than this 52 on Tuesday, but I was skeptical due to the cloud cover. So we'll see what wins out there. And then we have 30s and even some 20s beyond that heading into next weekend where it does turn a little bit colder. So it'll still feel like winter here in January, but nothing that looks all that ominous and no real big snow chances that stand out anywhere as well.
Okay, that's good to hear. Yeah. All right, in the meantime, let's head over to traffic updates this morning. What are we talking about on the roads?
Well, so we had all that rain yesterday, and watch it for maybe a couple of slick spots. I don't think it's going to be a big issue as you're heading out and about, but something to keep in the back of your mind. Temperatures have gotten below freezing, and it's just a good idea to use a little extra caution as you're heading through, especially some of those neighborhoods, maybe a few of the bridges and overpasses that sometimes cool a little quicker than some other areas. So This is what we're looking at throughout the metro, and you can see things seem to be moving along pretty well, but it is a possibility that we may be, especially as you get into those neighborhoods, have a couple of slick spots. Watch the sidewalks as you're heading out and about. The temperatures showing up there in the upper 20s for a lot of the estimated temperatures through the area. So a good idea to use that caution as you're heading out and about. Otherwise, it's mostly been a pretty smooth start to our commute. 72nd and L is an exception, though. We saw this yesterday where things really backed up. As we've been first alerting you to, all directions now have head-to-head one-lane traffic. And we saw southbound, northbound really get impacted yesterday as people are adjusting to that new traffic pattern. And yesterday we had the delays extend all the way past Q. We're getting them close to Q at this point. So maybe after yesterday's experience, you're thinking about an alternate route. 84th is not a great option. It's an okay option, but you do have that long-term construction project between Giles and Harrison that will also put you in a area that has restrictions and possibly some delays. So you may consider 96. Things were moving pretty well on 96 yesterday. That could be your play here while we have the work happening on both 72nd and on 84th. But we look at the overall traffic pattern, you can see things mostly moving along pretty well. A little bit slow as you're making your way on Bennington Road at this point, approaching Blair High. Watch that as you're heading westbound. But this is a pretty good looking map for this point in the morning. Hopefully we can avoid any kind of serious issues. Over the course of the weekend, we definitely have some big traffic impacts. We're going to talk a little more in detail here about full closure on the interstate that's going to be in place as we get into the weekend here, and that's going to shut down I-480. So we're going to get into the details of how that impacts traffic coming up.
Okay, great, Chair, thank you. An update to a story we have been following as Omaha police released this blurred out photo of a 4-year-old girl found wandering a neighborhood near 36th and Reddick Wednesday at around 8 in the morning. So exactly what happened? Our First Alert 6 team has learned a family member had recognized the photo on social media and knew the mom, so they called police. Now, according to that incident report, when police arrived at that home, the mom said she had fallen asleep at 4 a.m. Wednesday morning and didn't wake up until 5 p.m. later on that day. Now, at that point, the 4-year-old had been with investigators at Project Harmony for about 9 hours. The mom assured her daughter was with her friend. Now, when that friend got home from work, they realized neither of them knew where the girl was. The mother was cited for child neglect. The friend was cited with child neglect by a caregiver. He was taken to the custody for active warrants. The man found responsible for the death of a Nebraska police officer was sentenced to more than 2 years behind bars. We're now learning that Tony Pierce was found guilty in October of motor vehicle homicide for the death of Ceresco officer Ross Bartlett. Prosecutors say Bartlett was performing a traffic stop with a different driver when Pierce hit his cruiser. Troopers say that Pierce was on his phone. The family of the officer says this does little for their grief.
We're managing. There's no amount of time served that is going to make our family feel whole or make us feel like justice was served, because there is no justice. My dad's not coming back.
Bartlett was 54 years old. He worked for several law enforcement agencies across Nebraska over the span of 30 years. Meantime, Nebraska senators are looking to move fast on a bill to expel one of their own. 43 senators voted in favor of suspending rules requiring a 7-day waiting period before a public hearing could take place. The hearing is now set for Monday. The executive board recommended to expel Amherst Senator Dan McEwen for allegedly inappropriately touching a woman at a legislative party. McEwen says the situation was a bad misunderstanding. Now over here at the safety desk with Maria Cade, a growing number of young people use nicotine products, but new research is showing they're also trying to quit at record numbers. It's pretty interesting about this.
Yes, more than 50% of young adults actually vape almost every day, but there is a new study that just came out from Truth Initiative, and they're finding that over 2/3 of those nicotine users in that age group are actually planning to quit vaping in this upcoming new year. So the top 2 reasons why they say they're doing that is to feel better physically and feel better mentally. Experts say the younger you are when you start using those products, it's harder to quit, and that's because nicotine harms your developing brain. Officials say it is meant to reinforce that slipping up and relapsing doesn't mean that you have failed, so that's something that they want people to know if they are trying to quit. And if you know somebody who's trying to quit, they say the best thing for you to do is be supportive of them.
Okay, some good advice there. Maria, thank you. We're back after this. All right, taking a live look outside. Look at this.
That's cool.
Picturesque. The new Mutual of Omaha building starting to make a lot of progress at this point. It'll be done before we know it. The sunrise, just beautiful beyond it.
Probably a little cold up there on that tower.
Probably a little bit breezy as well. Let's talk about some of the rain totals that we got for yesterday, because it just felt like it was consistent throughout the afternoon.
And that lined up pretty well with what we were thinking. 1/2 inch to 1 inch over much of the area. Some places, I question the authenticity of the automated rain gauges that adds up. You can see Nebraska City, Omaha with about 3/4 of an inch. Plattsmouth struggled a little bit, and then Red Oak and Shenandoah didn't actually record anything, but you can see most of these 1/2 inch to 1 inch with lighter amounts to the northwest. So what we're looking at here is streets that have dried out quite a bit. We're at 28 degrees with a feels like temperature of 21. Didn't ever fully change over to snow, so it couldn't really accumulate. We just mixed it in with the rain whenever it tried to snow, and it all pretty much melted. So you're waking up to a much easier commute this morning. As that system moves to the east, here's the next one. It is going to start to work its way basically across Kansas and Missouri. As you can see the little circulation right here kicking out of New Mexico, and that'll drag some snow across our southern counties here very, very late in the day. So we'll increase the clouds out ahead of it, climb to about 35 by noon, get about 37, 38 by 2, 3 o'clock, and you can see by 4, we're talking about high temperatures. We'll get close to 40 degrees. By 7, we're down in the mid-30s. And there you go with that little batch of snow just grazing our southern counties. So Fall City to Maryville, best odds of seeing just a little bit out of this. Otherwise, the rest of us will be pretty quiet. Clouds decrease overnight. Head into Saturday morning, we have mostly clear skies. And you look at the snowfall potential from that system, and we're mostly going to see down to the south, just grazing our southern counties. Could trickle in a little bit more on Saturday with those winds, 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts expected on Saturday here that will pick up and cause some breezy conditions. So again, I want to focus a little bit on Saturday just to show you kind of what we're looking at. The clouds will fill up the sky as we go through the morning. We got some midday snow showers from those clouds. Nothing all that ominous, but there's a couple little specks on the map every once in a while. A few of those may be able to put a little dusting in some places as the wind kind of drives it around, and then clouds clear out south, and it should be a quieter night, but it's going to be cold, down to 14 to start off Sunday, then 38 Sunday afternoon. The best 2 days lining up to be Monday and Tuesday early next week, looking pretty good, up into the lower 50s.
It does always look pretty good every time you've shown this forecast throughout the morning. Any potential for more snow as we get into now mid-January?
Honestly, a lot of little stuff that kind of looks like what I just showed you there. Not too much out there. Some small chances Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, trying to reinforce the colder air. And I can show you what that looks like. Here's a little wider view of that model I showed you. This is through Saturday, Sunday, not too much with that. And then we maybe tack on a little bit Wednesday, perhaps a little bit more Friday, Saturday. But again, it never really adds up to much, way on the lower end of the scale, and probably looks a little more ominous than it actually is. Any of these may fall. If they fall, they probably melt off. So we're not looking at anything all too monumental right now. We'll keep an eye on it if any storm systems try to work their way in. But overall, that rain really helped us. We had a very, very dry December, and with the ground hopefully thawed a little bit, we can hopefully soak some of that in, and it was a beneficial rain for many of us, kind of slow and steady.
I will say, it did feel like it's been a while since we've had some rain. It's been very dry.
Very, very dry all of December. It was probably back into late November before we got anything that really amounted to much.
Thanks. Okay. Rusty, thank you. All right, Jared just got a lot busier all of a sudden. 2 crashes to talk about.
Yeah, and we're going to start on I-80 with our first one. Now, still developing situation with this one, but it sounds like we had a car that spun out on the interstate right around 72nd. So use caution. Maybe it's on the ramp based on some of the slowdowns that are showing up. I'd watch and use some caution if you're maybe in this area right here. That's where I'm seeing some of the delays that are showing up with that report. In this area, just generally use caution, and this maybe lines up with what we were talking about maybe a few slick spots out there. Be careful for that in the early going. Also had this crash that was reported 108th and Bennington Road. This is just a little to the east of Blair High. I mentioned just a little bit ago where we had some delays that were showing up there. So watch for that. Things do seem to be doing a little bit better here, but some caution could be a good idea with that. Those are the 2 crashes we have. We'll keep you posted with any information that comes out on those. I do want to make sure I first alert you to this weekend. We have 480 fully closing right around Farnham as that bridge gets taken down. And that's scheduled to start at 9 o'clock tonight and last through 6 for Monday morning. So you won't be able to get through on 480 with that being the case. You'll be detoured onto the exit and entrance ramps. Now keep in mind there's lane restrictions on both of those that you'll need to keep in mind. Could get some backups. There's going to be a lot of traffic downtown with the Creighton games on Saturday and Sunday for men and women. Plan accordingly.
All right, Jared, thank you very much. Back to news now. 33 state senators urging the Nebraska Board of Regents to delay a vote on the proposed acquisition of Nebraska Medicine. A letter drafted by Elkhorn Senator Brad Von Gillern highlights concerns about this proposal. Now, if it passes, Clarkson Regional Health Services would give up its 50% membership in Nebraska Medicine. The Board of Regents, who were originally set to meet and vote today, agreed to push back their meeting to next Thursday. All right, we're back after this. On to your Blue Jays extra coverage now. Creighton women's basketball is set to host top-ranked UConn this Sunday.
Yeah, just yesterday, while on the road, the Jays took a big defeat to Marquette with a final score of 49-67. So this weekend, Creighton is back at CHI Health Center to face UConn. Tip-off is at 1 p.m. I'm actually going to be at the game. I'm so excited.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
This will be my first Creighton women's basketball game.
Wow.
Good one to go to. UConn, the #1 team in the country,
Right.
so that's going to be a pretty competitive one. And
It's a pink out too, so
Oh, wow.
wear your pink if you're heading out. It's going to be a fun game.
And it'll be packed.
Yes, for sure. Well, the potential for winter weather, it did not stop people from making it out to CHI Health Center yesterday for Omaha Supernova's season opener.
Yeah, some of the season ticket holders tell us they were okay dealing with some of the potential slowdowns on the road, but it didn't stop them from making their way out there. One volleyball fan tells us he only missed 3 or 4 of the Supernovas games in the past 2 years.
Well, I just love volleyball, period. It's not necessarily the Supernovas. I have tickets to the other team in town, too. I just love volleyball. I just watch it as much as I can.
We watched it all last year, and now we're going to watch it this year.
Same for me. I usually come with them.
Well, it's now a tradition for Kathy and Joan to go to matches with Kathy's daughter and sister. And Joan was also previously battling cancer. It's now in remission, so they're especially looking forward to a pink out match next month. It raises awareness for breast cancer research. Really dedicated fans out there, too. They're not letting it stop them. Were you worried about that maybe it would impact
Yeah, I was
people?
worried the rain might impact things a little bit, but looks like that wasn't the case.
So,
Heck no.
still had it out.
Okay, that's going to do it for us. Time now for the First Load 6 team to prepare for our update this morning. You can watch that over here or on the air. Have a great start to your Friday.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Time now 7:26 on this Friday morning. It is great to have you with us. I'm Erin Hartley. Let's get an update on the roads this morning with Jared Lansford.
I'm monitoring a crash just off of I-80. This is right near 72nd. You see here on the entrance ramp where we have a vehicle that may have spun out. Watch for maybe a couple of slick spots this morning as we had the moisture on the roads from the rain yesterday and temperatures that have gotten below freezing. So that's where that one is, and you can see some of the delays that are showing up at some of the entrance exit ramps there near 72nd. Aside from that, we've mostly had a pretty smooth start to the commute, but again, watch the bridges, ramps, some of the neighborhoods where there could be a couple of slick spots. Rusty.
Thanks, Jared. Temperatures in the 20s right now, so it's cold as you head out. Plenty cold enough to ice things up if there's any moisture left over, like Jarrett said. Upper 20s in most places, 28, 29 degrees. Feels like down near 20, and you can see some teens in place when you factor in the breeze. So the air's got a bite to it. We're between the storm system of yesterday that was mostly rain and down to the south, the next one moving in, that's mostly going to be snow, but stay down in Kansas and Missouri. So we'll go 38 degrees for the afternoon high, the way things are looking today. A little bit above average still, but it's going to feel cold just compared to where we've been. 34 then on Saturday, a few midday snow showers, nothing much to worry about there. And 38 by Sunday with mostly sunny skies. You look at the 10-day forecast, best 2 days in the entire 10-day forecast will be Monday and Tuesday with highs in the 50s. Aaron?
Well, breaking news, we are following a family now displaced after this house fire. This happened in the area of 47th and Martha just after 5 o'clock this morning. According to fire officials who spoke to our photographer at the scene, the fire was coming from the home's basement, was put out in about 10 minutes. The good news is no injuries to report. The time now 7:28, back here in about 25 minutes with another update.